up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Down Unders. An amazing show we got planned for you tonight. Obviously, we're going to go through the big sin bin chaos. We're going to go through magic rounds. We're very excited to be down there, brother. But my man, Brody, as always, how you doing, brother?
Good, brother. Good. No, keen for a weekend of footy in Brisbane.
Oh, fucking oath, bro. Fucking oath. You know, back-to-back Brizzy trips that we've been doing, week to week. We'll touch on, obviously, the first Brizzy trip we did last Thursday. But, you know, Magic Round, bro. Any big Magic Round moments that you have off the top of your head, from all our times being there? How many times have we actually been to Magic Round now? It's just like 2019,
I think it's been 3 or 4 times. I think we've been every time except one. So I think we only missed 1 year. And well, not really a good moment, but a moment we remember is sitting in the rain that year and just praying for tries to get the heat from the fire of the celebrations. But yeah, not a good moment, that one. But yeah, plenty of good moments from Magic Round.
Let's hope and pray that doesn't happen again. Obviously, that was the first prediction of rain coming. And let's touch on some wood right now because the prediction, I'm pretty sure, has changed at the moment.
I haven't checked, Bo, but I'm too scared to check.
Fingers crossed. And also, guys, if you haven't already known, I know a lot of you guys do follow Wise Up TV as well. But I will be also at a meetup at Magic Round at the Lord Alfred Hotel from 11 a.m. till 12. Make sure you come down. Obviously, some massive content creators all coming together. You got, the Warrior Holic. You've got Retro Rugby League. Shout out to him. Amazing. Both those boys have put this one together. And one thing I did want to bring up, Retro Rugby League, bro, he's known for his rugby league jerseys. What jersey are you planning to wear down to Magic Round this weekend? Which doggies jersey are you going into?
I think I'm just going to rep my 2004 one, grand final jersey that they brought out. I think I'll go with that. Unless it is a bit colder, I might go with my retro one where it's a bit more knitted and warmer to wear.
Yeah, bro, I'm right there with you. I think I'm going to go my retro. I think it was a 96, home jersey for the Warriors. Obviously a real nice baggy fit. I like my baggy fits and stuff like that. So I'm really, really excited to go out there, wear my fit down there. I usually always wear that jersey anyway. It's like my favorite jersey overall.
Go-to.
It's my go-to, brother. It's my go-to. But shout out to everyone in the chat. Tans, what's going on? Krishan, what's happening? GT, what's happening? Jose, unfortunately, can't make it to the live tonight, but he's already given in his Egg of the Week's prediction, guys. So stay a little bit later for that. And also, guys, just to preface quickly before we get into the show, tomorrow night, there will not be a Supercoach show tonight. I really do apologize. There's some big stuff going on in my life currently right now, so I won't plaster it in the world, in the air, but everything is very positive, very happy right now. So I will not be doing a show tomorrow night, but we will be very happy, smiles, and we're going to do our Supercoach show at the end of this show overall. So we're just going to back-to-back the way we're doing it right now, all in one show. So any Supercoach questions, guys, leave it till after we do our team list or our tips for the weekend and stuff. And then, yeah, we'll run into the Supercoach. But let's run into the biggest news of the week, bro. I know this is going to be a little bit fiery overall because I think we're both on the same track of what's going on here. The sin bin crackdown, the sin bin chaos, whatever you want to call it. I know the NRL do not want to call it a crackdown, but we all have 2 eyes. We all can see what's going on out there. 18 sin bins over the weekend, bro. Started off by the doggies game over the weekend, which, I think we both looked at each other and looked at some of them and went, yeah, they're sin bin. Like, you started like, yeah, okay. Some of them, yeah, for sure. But then when you see the rest of the weekend go the way it is, you kind of go, oh, fuck, man. Like, what have we done here? So what's your thoughts overall the sin bin, bro? 18 bins at the weekend. Well too much, man. Well too much.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute piss take, especially, the Scotty Sorensen one that stood out to me, the Polly one from the Tigers game.
That's
like the Scotty Sorensen one, man, like he didn't contact the head. He's got 2 defenders either side of him and a dude sprinting back at 120 k's an hour. What do you want him to do? He's not going to put his arms out and get his arm dislocated from his own team member. He's not going to go low because, well, you're going to get kneed in the fucking head. If you go too high, you get penalised. So he's done what he wanted to do and put his shoulder out. So, and yeah, he got two weeks for it. And then you got someone like the trial where it's late and taking the head off.
Shout
I
out
think
Brendan
that's
in the
1 week.
chat.
Yeah, he's clearly day drinking again. So, but no, I just think it's an absolute piss take. I think Johns has hit the nail on the head. You know, fans
Yeah.
save up their money to go watch a game, and I know the doggies ones were mostly warranted, but it can ruin a game by half time, and then the fans are sitting there for no reason. Like, I know a lot of fans left, and that was probably the only reason they left. But yeah, it's disappointing. It is disappointing for the fans. It's disappointing for the competition. So it's definitely a crackdown because there was not even 18 sin bins all year last year or something like that, they said.
If we did the overs and unders like we did the first time, this was kind of announced that they were going to be coming down harder on the rules in that sort of sense. Brother, I would have been well off that 4 over unders. Was it 4 that we were doing or 8?
Yeah,
it was 8
5
overs
or something.
Yeah, it was something like that, bro. And we like just smoked that out of the water. And touching on that too, you know, when they did that over that weekend, it was a little bit of a fast. We're getting to 8, but overall, I thought that was like, okay, you know, I can kind of see these. 18, bro. Like, not one game over the weekend didn't have a sin bin in it from memory overall. Your game had 4 in general, 3 on your side of the field. You know, I know in my game you had like, you know, the start of the game, 2 minutes in, everyone's excited. Warriors versus Newcastle, see how we go. Martin near quarter, 2 minutes in, bang, you're off to the bin. And you kind of just go, what is happening? And then Leo Thompson felt like a little bit of a square up. I'm like, what is going on? And that's sort of sense of it. And then to end the weekend, and we'll touch on all these games too, guys, or the games that the bigger games of the weekend. But, you know, the West Tigers, how valiant they were, and they defended that set with their heart, and then they go back the set and they give the Fanua Bole one, which wasn't that bad. It continued playing on. The players aren't even staying down anymore for them, and it's coming back to it. So, like, where do we go from here? Where does the NRL go from here? Do you trust in them that they're going to fix it up for Magic Round this weekend? I know Andrew Abdo's come out and said that obviously they're touching on with the referees and they understand they've got some wrong, but they also are they're shying away from calling it a crackdown and kind of accepting that reality as well, which I kind of understand PR wise, but still, like, I like accountability in those areas as well. Like, do you think the NRL roll it back a little bit now for Magic Round? Do you think we don't see it again because of the outrage? Or do you think they're just going to stay solid? And what does that lead for the game?
Well, the whistle will definitely go back in the pocket this weekend. It's as simple as that. There'll be not even half as many. I'll call the under 5 sin bins this weekend for high shots. You know, obviously there might be some professional fouls and stuff like that, but we won't count those. But I think that they won't want to admit they're wrong. You know, like, they'll take some accountability for all of it, but they won't sit there and go, oh, no, we got it completely wrong, because they know that there'll be an outrage. But I definitely think there'll be a big adjustment to it this weekend, and we'll see hardly any. The bunker going back to them it should not be. That's not what the bunker was created for. The bunker was created for making sure that the tries were actual tries and there wasn't something missed in tries situations. Not for you to go back 4 tackles later and penalise somebody and sin bin someone. Once that team has played out their whole set and not scored for the Sharks instant, and then get a penalty and a sin bin, the ball back, and then get another crack and score a try. Like, it's ruining teams' chances of winning games. And it can't be done that way. If the referee and the 2-touch judge and the bunker watching live cannot see it and call it on the spot, move on. It's as simple as that.
Do you think we could ever get to a game like, so looking at the AFL and other sports in the world, like, they're dealing with VAR problems, like the AFL not so much. The AFL they don't have a sin bin, they don't have a send off and that sort of sense of thing. Do you think it's so vital for the NRL to have a sin bin and a send off due to the nature of our game? Or do you think we could run very similar to the AFL, to where they just play out the game of the weekend, whatever happens on that field happens on that field, but everything happens after the fact, right? So the match review committee will come out and be like, hey, all right, well, you get a suspension for this, you know what I mean? Like, do you think we could ever get to that point? And does that fix the problem? Or do you just kind of see it as like, we've got all the tools right now to do the right thing. Let's just do the right thing. It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, I think they just need to correct the way that they're judging it. Like, if there's no swinging arm motion, or it's not like violent, like, you know, your typical clothesline, or like deliberate try and get the shoulder to the head, you know, like if it's bouncing up off the ball or stuff like that, like let's be serious about it. That's all I can really say. Like it should be such a simple fix, but it's not. And leaving the sim, not having a sim bin and then suspending them doesn't give that team any credit, any benefit for what's just happened. But you know, sometimes you see the defender get hit in the head from the attacker raising a forearm, dropping their shoulder. Nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like the only one that's happened to recently is Tupanua because of obviously the knee, but he doesn't get sim bin. So
that's crazy, right?
Like that's a deliberate attack to the head and he didn't get sim bin. So it just shows that they really have no idea what they're looking for. And I think you need to have maybe the same person for every game in the bunker. I know that's a big job. That's probably a full-time job, but that way you're getting consistency on what's being called. But also maybe just don't sim bin for shit that's not sim bins. I don't know. That's all I can really say on that subject without just, I don't know, rattling my brain because it just makes no sense to me on why they can't get it right.
Yeah, overall, I do like the view set of maybe having like, whether it's not just one, but maybe try keep it to a very small number of referees in that bunker for the weekend, whether it's 2, 3, whatever it is, and make that a full-time thing, right? Like if that is make someone a bunker official, so they're over the whole weekend, that's their job. Like it's pretty much like a 9 to 5. Like you're going in there, you're doing that for a day's work, you come home and you get paid due to that, right? Like you get paid fairly well. I like that opinion of it, to have consistency with the decision making in the bunker, because obviously you get some games that are decided one way, and then there's other games where you see the same thing and you kind of go, well, where's it kind of marry up? And it's funny, obviously, you bring it up. I would probably say the most egregious one over the weekend was Satili Tupanua's knee to the head, and that was the one that didn't get sim bin. It kind of like puts it back into your head, like as you kind of touched on, is defenders are the ones getting really targeted with everything like this. The attacking side of the ball, they don't get targeted as much, and a lot of the times, defenders are the ones that carry more of the head knocks anyway. They get more of the concussions, like
bumped off and shit.
I'm surprised that, seeing Brendan Piacorta staying on the football field after, Satili Tupanua need him to the head, and straight after that, getting high tackled into the head as well. He should be concussed over the weekend. But, that's what I'm kind of coming from is overall, I think that this will take time to fix up, right? The NRL, I said it to you last night. We've had problems like this all the time. It seems to like go for a full cycle. We end up finding ourselves back into this to position all over again. But hopefully when we learn these lessons, we get a little bit better each and every time. And hopefully the NRL do learn from these sort of things and just understand sometimes accidents happen in the game as well. And not sin bin for accidents, not sin bin for, I hate the moderate tag that they're putting out there now. Like what's moderate force compared to like heavy force, light force, like, I don't know, bro. Honestly, I could rattle on just as much as you. We'll probably put this one to bed there, but hopefully coming to this weekend, it doesn't decide any games over the Magic Round weekend, doesn't decide Origin, anything further on. And I'm sure that they've looked up to the weekend, the outrage, and gone, hey, maybe we need to roll this back.
Yeah, well, that you hit the nail on the head. We're playing a full contact sport at the highest level, at fast pace. There's going to be fatigue. There's going to be accidents where sometimes people get hit in the head, especially the ones where they're falling. Like Isaiah Yeo got penalized. He didn't get sim bin. But what are you supposed to do when the guy's fallen probably 4 feet from where you originally were targeting, and now you're hitting him in the head? And you as a professional need to make that tackle. You're competitive. You want to make that tackle. You might have clipped him in the head. Now you're the one penalized. Whereas if you don't make that tackle, he gets up and runs because he got the jump on you. Well, now he's going to score a try, or your team's at a disadvantage because you didn't feel like jump on him to maybe hit him on the head. And that's going to happen now that the ball runners have all this on their side. They can run harder. They could fucking push harder, knowing the defender's got to overthink how they've got to tackle instead of just making a tackle. I don't think there's any out-and-out grubs in the game anymore that go out there to deliberately do shit, like take heads off and stuff like that. They used to be in the game 100%, but these days I think everybody's pretty good. And we need to accept that accidents do happen. And it shouldn't be a moderate force thing. It should be, did you rip his fucking head off? Like, did it look really bad? All right, sim bin. If not, a penalty is fine.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And if they missed the call from in the game and not go back to it, Honestly, it couldn't have been that bad. And if it was even a little bit worse than you kind of give it for, maybe review it in the match review committee. Don't penalize on it. Don't take it all the way back. I couldn't believe that one of the Tigers game over the weekend where they just defended their set, got all the way down to the end, and then you take away one of their players. So in the moment where they're most tired, they finished their set. They've had this big, oh my God, we did that moment, and then it's just come crashing down again. So, obviously, overall, hopefully they fix this up because we don't want to be talking about this week in, week out. It does feel like we're talking about a lot of referee stuff, in the moments these days, but, hopefully that can definitely change out. Shout out to everyone in the chat as well. Thank you so much for all commenting as well.
That's another one that Chris hit the nail on the head, is just like the charge down kicks and accidentally touching the kicker. You are told by your coach, if you're first marker, you're putting kick pressure. It's bullshit that they're not late and they just slightly touch the kicker's leg, or they tackle them and it wasn't a proper tackle. What do you mean it wasn't a proper tackle? Like, they're just another one that you can go on for hours about on how they get that wrong. Just because one dude unfortunately broke his leg from someone trying to charge down a kick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, bro.
It's unfortunate. This shit happens.
Yeah, it is a contact sport at the end of the day, and I'm sure that majority of these boys go out there. We've spoken about this on the head knock issues, stuff like that, right? Like it's people overall need to understand these are grown men that have signed their like they're getting paid for this. They know they should be in their contracts being like, hey, you understand. I go back to it. UFC fighters go into the octagon, understanding the mitigating forces, like what's going to happen to them in the octagon. Like boxers understand that. Like why can't it be a very similar thing with rugby league? That is a contact sport as well.
Exactly. And we don't want head knocks. It's not what we're saying, but they might happen. Yeah. They might happen. You're making players overthink, and that's probably even more dangerous to the game. Because they're overthinking on how they're supposed to tackle. They're putting themselves at risk.
Talk about overthinking, brother. Let's move over to our weekend review. So the Broncos, the desperate Broncos, get over the top of your doggies over the weekend. And why I call this an overreaction is I don't think you should overreact on both ends of the ball in this one. I don't think doggies fans should overreact with the scoreline here, 42-18, even though it was a poor first half. There was a lot of things that went into that. And on the Broncos side of things, I don't think you should be looking at this as like, oh my God, we're back at the top of the competition. We're absolutely amazing. Like great performance. You showed the ability of what you can get to, but just understand this is a long season. I've been saying it for like all the shows I get on. Don't go up here. Don't go down here. Just stay right here at the moment. Like let these guys grow. You're not bottom of the comp, all that sort of stuff. So 7 tries to 3 here in this game. Obviously, we just touched on the sim binning issues, but your thoughts on the game? I know it's obviously it hurts. It sucks that we were out of this game. Wet weather footy. The Dogs just didn't turn up in the first half. Like your thoughts overall in this game? Any mitigating, any factors that you kind of added into the reason why the Dogs fell apart in the first half, or do you think it was just a desperate Broncos side that were just willing to get over the top of the Dogs at Suncorp?
I think to start with, we as doggies hate to play at Suncorp. Like our record there is pretty trash. And the Broncos did just come out with an old-fashioned ambush. You touched on it. They were coming off 2 losses. They're very desperate back at home. The doggies showed that they were feeling the pressure from that first set that the Broncos put on us, because we tried to shift on tackle 2, tackle 3, drop the ball, and then it was just a compounding error after compounding error. I think it went try, and then 40-20 try, and then sim bin from Curran trying to shoulder charge Haas off the kickoff, kick downfield, try, and then it just, that full first half just went that way. And it took going into halftime for Serraldo to be able to get his hands on the boys to really bring them back down to earth. And it just showed that even though they blew us away in that first half and the damage was done, and you can say that the Broncos put the Q in the rack, whatever, well, technically we still won that second half 18-8, and that was only a really late try to them. And we still had another 2 sim bins in that second half, or 1 sim bin. So to me, it just shows that if the game wasn't the abnormal of the first blowaway half, we would have been in control of that game and been able to control the Broncos. But I'm not making excuses or anything. They were the better team. They ambushed us. They had a great game plan to come out and fire. And Adam Reynolds' individual brilliance to really pull apart the Bulldogs' defensive system was outstanding. So I got a shout out to him and Payne Haas himself. He's absolutely a freak. But am I worried? No. 1, because we are still on top, and 2, the week before, Melbourne had 40 straight points put on them by a team like the Dolphins, who are not as half as good as the Broncos. and who is half as not rated to finish in that top 4 as the Broncos are. So I'm not worried at all. And then we've seen what Melbourne come out and did on the weekend just gone. It wasn't the biggest win, or the week just gone, but they still came back and bounced back. So it just shows that you need to be on your footy against no matter who you play at any given time. And things are going to happen if you lose your cool, like we did. We got frustrated. We went away from our game plan. We had 4 sin bins. Whereas like you look the weeks before, we weren't giving away penalties at all for anything. So discipline went out the window. But that was my thoughts on the game, other than sitting in the fucking rain, getting pissed off.
Yeah, it was a struggle being out there, bro, because it got torrential at one point. Like the rain was just hectic. And obviously it was raining tries and raining on our heads, and we're just like, brother, like it couldn't have been in a worse place overall. Especially at Suncorp, the Broncos fans up and yipping yahooing. But first of all, touching on the Broncos side of things, I'll ask you a couple of questions overall on their side. Where did they go right? Do you read into the fact, obviously I'm going to bring this up, do you read into the fact of Selwyn Cobbo over Walsh at the moment? Or, where do you think that the Broncos go from here with playing their football? Did you see enough out of him to be like, all right, I see where he's going with this? Or do you think they may struggle to go back to what they kind of were doing before, going too sideways in moments?
Well, the stats that they're throwing out for Cobbo to say that he was great at fullback, he was doing those stats on the wing. It was all that had was run meters and some tackle busts. He got involved in 1 try. Other than that, he didn't make any errors. But yes, Reece Walsh has an error in him, but he also has a few try assists in him and magic in him. So the only reason there was no errors in Cobbo on the weekend is because there was no errors in the Broncos at all. It was almost a flawless first half, in all honesty. So I think they're reading into that too much. I'll eat my words if he comes out and has a game like a Tedesco did on the weekend, or Scotty Drinkwater. Then I'll be like, all right, Cobbo is a really good fullback. He's the man for fullback. But what he provided on the weekend and how excited they're getting, I think that's very reactionary. I just think in general, the way that Adam Reynolds played the game, they just got the jump on us. They played through the front door. And then that led to Reynolds kicking over the top twice for Arthurs, because it really sucked in our not Arthurs, for Mariner, sorry. It really sucked in our defense. And then when you got Payne Haas doing the damage he does through the middle, we know we're a smaller pack and we handle most other packs pretty well with just our fitness. But Payne Haas is a different fucking level, and he proved that again to us. So that's all. That's all it really comes down to. And I dare say when we play, like everyone's forgetting that we pumped them last year and we weren't half as good as a team as we were this year. So it just shows you need to show up on your day. It's as pretty much as simple as that. I don't think too much went right or wrong. It's just the scales that rugby league is at the moment. Sometimes it's up here, sometimes it's down there.
Yeah, and obviously you start a season, a 6-0 run. You start a season so well, and in general, a little misstep. It is what it is. On the Broncos side of things, I definitely agree with you. I was more impressed every time we were looking at each other going, Payne Haas is an animal. Adam Reynolds is an animal. I don't remember saying too many times going, fuck, Selwyn Cobbo's is tearing you apart. I think Selwyn Cobbo did his job really well, and his job was to play direct, no errors, just get through his work. But we know what Selwyn Cobbo has in his game as well. Let's not try to think that Selwyn doesn't have a bunch of errors in his game as well, and he's not the perfect player to play at fullback in those periods either. So I don't think he's the magic fix for the Brisbane Broncos. I think the magic fix is exactly what they played their football over the weekend is, play through their forwards, play direct football and play through Adam Reynolds. Benny Hunt took a back seat in this game. Allowed Adam Reynolds to control majority of this game, getting around points of the field. Obviously, Adam Reynolds had his hands on pretty much majority of the tries over the weekend. Dean Mariner obviously being the beneficiary to those beautiful little chip kicks into the corner. Xavier Willison on that edge looked really, really nice there. The Broncos need to play direct football. Stop playing sideways. You got 2 of the best props in the competition. 2 of the best props that went up against the Doggies pack. And I know the Doggies pack, absolutely incredible. But, you're looking at Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan, and they kind of shocked you really to start off that game, right? This is the forward pack of what they can do against a dog side that took it to the Sharks, that shut down Adam Fanor-Blake and Oregon Kaufusi and all those big boys that come off that bench. They took it to multiple other bigger forward packs that people are rolling through. The Broncos got 2 of the best front rollers. Play through those guys. That's wins you football games. So, if they revert back to just going sideways, Benny Hunt started to get errors into his game, of course they're not going to look as great for the weekend, but play consistent football. Play through a structure. Don't play out your back end all the time, thinking that you just got too much skill to beat every side in the competition. You're not that just yet. Build through your structures. I think that's the biggest game plan for the Broncos week in, week out now, right?
100%. They're such a momentum team, and that's to answer your question there as well, Tans. I don't think it was more so complacency on our end. I think the Broncos are just such a momentum team, and if you give them a sniff, they just play off the back of it. And that's what happened there. You know, come half time, both teams settled down. They had no momentum. They didn't look half as good in that second half. So the Broncos need to remember what creates them the momentum is what you said. It's through their forward pack, and they just need to be patient with it, that their forward pack will break down the other team and create the opportunities. Whereas, like, yes, Walshy's guilty of it. He gets too excited and goes too early and tries to go sideways. But that's not just a Walshy. That's a Ben Hunt. That's a Ezra Mann thing as well. You just really need to rely on Adam Reynolds and the forward pack to keep that Broncos team going straight.
100%. So, guys, overall, don't go too high, don't go too low on all this result over the weekend here with the Dogs and the Broncos. I think the Dogs will definitely be back this weekend or try to come back from this weekend. Gold Coast is obviously they're very desperate, but I think that doggy side can really come out and really shut them down, even though they're missing a lot of key pieces in that doggy side this weekend. And with the Broncos, you know, we need to see this, you know, consistently from them. That's the biggest thing. They can have these big one-off performances, but it doesn't help them for the season if they go back to what they're doing before this. See this consistently, then we can start talking about top fours, stuff like that again. But, you know, talk about momentum, bro. Sanders Smith and the Roosters slaying the Dragons, bro. 46-18. Incredible performance there. Clint Gufferson was biting on every bit of dummy. He was seeing Casper out there. He was seeing all the type of ghosts out there. Your thoughts overall on this game? I was very impressed with Sanders Smith. Obviously, as we touched on, he had a Sam Walker type of game. Mark Nwanga-Nituase, I thought looked incredible on the wing as well. Dommy Young's going to be, you know, it's going to struggle to get back into that role, in my opinion. Blake Steep looked really good. James Tedesco, I thought, had an incredible game, bro. But what did you take out of this game for both these sides?
Yeah, it just shows that the Roosters still have that in them, even though, you know, they got young players. Everyone wrote them off. They still got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but great performance. It just showed that, and the Dragons aren't an easy beat. Like, they're a very fit, hard-edged side in Shane Flanagan's got them. I know they've got older players and they're not got the best star players or halves or anything like that, but they always show up to compete. So the Roosters to blow them away, especially on a big day like an Anzac Day, yeah, outstanding. Vintage Teddy, as you touched on, and Smith, well, just a ball of energy, just wanting to compete on absolutely everything. And poor Guff, though, well, he's really fucked my Supercoach because they count as missed tackles when he's gone for nobody. So, but we'll get to that. But yeah, no, shout out to the Roosters. You know, they're using some of their juniors as well. And it's kind of a slap in the face to everybody that says they got no juniors. And I'm one of them. I think they just buy me premiership. But, you know, they've lost a lot of players from last year. And to pull out a performance like that and still keep chipping away with the players that they do have and all the injuries they have, well, I'm hoping that they don't make enough games to make the finals, because that Roosters team, when they've got, again, a bit of momentum behind them, they're hard to stop.
Yeah, and out of this game, quickly before we jump off it too, did you take this more of like the Roosters kind of showing out, like you were more impressed with the Roosters, or were you more disappointed how the Dragons showed up in Anzac Day?
Oh, a bit of both, brother. Credit's due where credit's due. The Roosters had an out-and-out great performance, but yeah, that Dragons defensive line, there shouldn't be that many line breaks. It shouldn't be up to Gutho to like they weren't just tries where, you know, it's like pressure built on the line, 3 sets in a row. Oh, they've cracked us. It's like out and out line breaks. All right, draw and pass fullback. Not just once or twice. Like, I think it happened 4 times. So that's just not good enough.
No way. And if we've noticed about the Dragons, they have been very up and down this season, but this one definitely was a disappointing one. But on the Rooster side of things, you know, they've shown like they can hold it with certain teams in the competition. They've showed they're just unable to get over over the edge. I feel like this was a little bit of a shot to be like, hey guys, like we are starting to come together. Just wait till our big boys do come back as well. So shout out to them. We'll quickly touch on the Warriors versus Newcastle Knights, bro. Obviously very impressed with my boys out there. This was a little bit of a worrisome game for me, just knowing from years past, the Warriors used to be always the bounce back side where I always worry about sides that are coming in on low form, thinking they're going to bounce on us. And, you know, last year definitely was that. You know, the Titans came to us in a 0-7, I think they were, before they came to us in Anzac round, and they beat us in Anzac round to get back on the winning side of things. You know, it happened multiple times for this last year. But Your thoughts on that game? Newcastle look dire straight. We touched on them last week, but the Warriors just keep on doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I think we're building a combination together in the halves. They're getting better each week in, week out. We still haven't hit our level yet. That's the positive thing for the Warriors.
Yeah, you still got a lot of boys out. You know, you got a lot of boys come back into that system, but you got the guys that are filling in that are doing their job. And you got Lecker starting this week now, out and out. So it just shows that the development you guys doing with your juniors is working. And then for the Knights, well, you guys could have been complacent. You could have been reading all the articles, and you could have been sitting there going, you know, they're going to be easy beats and switch off completely. But you know, a desperate Knights team with KP in it. Dylan Lucas came back in, Brody Best, Gay Guy. They're all still solid players, you know, and to just really shut them out and never look like they had a chance in it. You shout out to your boys. You know, they keep, like you said, chipping away, doing what they're doing. The test now is to make sure you carry that form into games where you're traveling. You know, you've had a good couple of home games in a row, and that's fine. You got to take advantage of that. But yeah, you just really need to make sure that when you do travel, you come with that same energy.
100%. I think we're 1-3 now on the road. We beat the Tigers at Campbelltown, and obviously we lost Vegas and we lost at Melbourne and Melbourne. So hopefully this weekend at Suncorp we can change that and get a little bit more of the winning track away from home. But at home at the moment, I love that we're kind of building a fortress in New Zealand as well. You know, for the Warriors to go well this year, we do need to win as many games as we do at home. But I agree with you as well. We do need to get a couple of those wins out our way as well, especially before the Origin period and coming up to the Origin period, where it's really important for us to bank wins to get into hopefully that top 8 discussion this year. So moving over also, talk about state of origin. Tommy Dearden, bro, just put his flag in the ground. He staked his claim for origin this year versus the Titans, 50-18. The first question is, before we get into the game, is there a way we can get Tom Dearden into that origin side right now? Munster, DC, got to probably be the halves more than likely. Does he get 14? Where do you see this going for the Queenslanders?
Maybe a 14. I think a 14 is a good shout for him, but I just don't know if he can fill in that hooker role the same as somebody else, you know, because Ben Hunt's obviously going to be starting hooker for you guys if Grant's not fit. So I think Dearden would have to be the 14, because I wouldn't pick Reed after the game he had on the weekend. And Dearden just does give you that bit more cover. You know, he could slot into the centers if you're desperate. He can slot into a halves jersey and play hooker. So, yeah, you can't leave Munster out for me, and I don't think running Munster and Dearden's a good idea yet. I want to see a bit more from Dearden in the terms of him being maybe a 7. But his game on the weekend, incredible. But it came off his running game, and that's too much like a Cam Munster for me. You need someone that will be a bit more direct. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, bro, 100%. I'd probably, at the moment, if I was to squeeze him in, it would be in that 14 jersey. And I've kind of always said he reminds me so much of Ben Hunt in a way. Like, you know, Ben Hunt in that 7, he loves it. He's got a beautiful running game, a beautiful dummy and go. When he does it, it's just like, it just looks like a Ben Hunt silhouette to me. So if you're able to carry that ability to maybe look at that hooker, like I've always discussed kind of with you as well, that sometimes halfbacks just have a really good go at hooker for some reason. It's just a lot of your best hookers in a game are halfbacks. I know it's still obviously a tough position to pick up, but when you look at, you know, Jeremy Marshall King was a halfback turn hooker. You look at Cam Smith, he came to the Storm system as a half turn hooker. Wade Egan coming through the grades was a half turn hooker. You know, Sonny Luke, you know, even though he's not getting to first grade, he's a halfback when he came for junior grades. Turn hooker. Like, there's a lot of these like correlations to halfbacks turning to hookers and making a really good job out of it. Benny Hunt's definitely one of the bigger ones that when he gets to that origin stage, he takes over there. It's really an argument now, is like, is Ben Hunt's form willing to put you into that jersey, into that arena? It's really going off history of Ben Hunt, or do you go off the form of Tom Dearden right now and say, hey bro, you won this jersey, now this is yours? And for me, I'm starting to sway more towards Tom Dearden into that 14 jersey for me. I think that he deserves it. After the years that he's had with, you know, Origin last year, made international, and we would say he was probably the more impressive half in our international game. And, you know, with this Cowboys side, probably not going as crazy well as what they were to start the season. He's starting to really fire. When he started clicking to gear, that's when the Cowboys started to click into gear, in my opinion, as well, with Jake Clifford outside of him. So I would probably just push him into a 14 jersey, but Benny Hunt definitely could take that one back. I'm really 50-50 on it, but at the moment, I'm swaying towards Tom Dearden.
So you're talking if Grant's fit?
If Grant is fit, yeah, I'm going Tom Dearden 14. If not, that's a big discussion where Ben Hunt probably has to start, number 9 being the more experienced member. And then maybe do we run like that discussion is up in the air there too, right? Like we're in a tough predicament there, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be a lot harder for Dearden to get in if Grant's fit to pip Ben Hunt for that jersey. But I think if Ben Hunt's starting at hooker because Grant's out, I think Dearden will get that 14 jersey. Just because I think Queensland will hold on to Benny Hunt and the loyalty for that little bit longer. And he does always do a job there off the bench. I'm not saying that Dearden doesn't deserve it. I think he does. But I know the way that Queensland pick, and Queensland will probably potentially pick Ben Hunt over him. And then Dearden will probably play like 18th man or something like that.
Yeah, definitely have to keep an eye out, guys. We will be talking about more Origin coming next week. Actually, we want to do our predicted teams for Origin, guys. So make sure you tune into next Wednesday for that. But quickly touching on the game, 50-18, bro. The Cowboys, started this game fairly slow. The Titans putting 3 tries on the board, 18-0 it ended up getting to at halftime from memory, 18-12 at halftime, sorry. But it was 18-0 around that point. And then the Cowboys just really swung into gear. And the amount of tries they put on the board there, 9 tries at the end of the game. Your thoughts on both the sides here? More disappointment of the Titans or more of like the Cowboys are just getting back to being the Cowboys at the moment?
Quick shout out to Lockie in the chat if he's still there. I reckon he's left by now, but
he jumped in a perfect time.
Just shout out to the Cowboys continuing on their roll. Everybody wrote them off after those 3 games, but I've always said it. The lineup that they have on paper with the amount of Origin stars and representative stars, it's ridiculous for them to be losing games. A lot of games as well. So it's scary when they do fire because they are a team that's got a lot of points in them. But we've also, again, seen the Cowboys win games 40-36. Like their defense is the key area for them that they need to improve on. So if they can get that right, then they're going to find it a lot easier to win games. But if they're playing to try and score 36 to win instead of just trying to score 18 to win, it's a big difference. So very disappointing from the Titans, though. I think they're in a bit of a hole and now dropping for feeder. There must be a lot going on there in the back end of that club.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talking points going on there. Dave Fafita dropping out of the club, and the Titans, they're notoriously just never been a good defensive side. And like thinking Desi Hasler coming into the club, you would have thought they would have swung it back to, because Desi's usually a really good defensive coach at times. A lot of people will point out his defensive system at times is very hard to understand, but as soon as you understand it, a lot of the better Seagull sides were just so good defensively, and then I'll play it off the back of that. But the Titans just can't click into gear, even though they've got a good forward pack, a lot of good sturdy things going on there. So there's something more going there. I really don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but on the Cowboys side of things, shout out to Jeremiah Nenai and that. We'll talk about majority of these guys when we come to our team of the week as well. But Scotty Drinkwater as well, bro. Off the back of Tom Dearden, just, pulling out tries left, right, and center. Scotty Drinkwater still got into his work as well. And he's a guy that you have to watch out, especially when the Cowboys are red hot.
100%, bro. He's proved it for years that he's always kind of knocking on the door, not of Origin, I'd say, but like if Latrell, Turbo, all that fell off the edge of the cliff, that he could still do a job attack-wise.
Yeah, and I think he's been a little bit better defensively this year for me. Like he's had a couple of nice moments where he's instead of taking a dummy and go, he's taken the ball carrier and he's put his body in front. So shout out to him. Hopefully, hopefully the Cowboys don't continue this next week, this weekend coming. But
knock them off this week, brother.
I always enjoy seeing the Cowboys going really well though too. So I feel like they're just one of those clubs that a lot of teams and like a lot of people in the competition love to see go well. So hopefully they get back into their rare form that they're in right now, obviously. Moving over as well, the Canberra Raiders knock off the Dolphins. 7 tries to 5, 40 points to 28. The Dolphins pretty much looked like they were home and hose at one point in this game, 28-10 at halftime, and they just let it go. 40 points the Raiders put on the board there. Your thoughts overall in this game? Is worrying signs there for the Dolphins to let go of a lead that they had in this one and not score another point in the second half? But the Raiders, bro, we are definitely underestimated them to start the season.
I think everybody did, and I think they're still taking that personally. And well, now that with the form that you got Horsburgh back in and the combination that Fogarty and Ethan Strange are building, is looking dangerous, and their backs are just doing their jobs. They're there to catch the tries they should be catching, and doing the work out of the back end they should be doing, and the forward pack's taking care of it the rest for Canberra. They've always been that way. It's just complacency normally gets them inconsistency. So they're going a lot better this year, and they really haven't had that dip in complacency yet.
Yep.
They're just chugging along nicely. And for the Dolphins, well, talk about rocks and diamonds, beating Penrith and Storm and then pulling out this game where you blow a comfortable lead like that. So just shows that momentum means everything in games, and moments mean everything in games, and things can turn on you so quickly.
100%. Once you lose that momentum, it's so hard to grab it back. And the Raiders have been, again, like the beneficiary to this in this year's rugby league, right? Like they've always been a side that just grind and get you in this real strange game of footy. And they always just find ways to kind of get it done. This year, they kind of swing into their favor. Tamale's having a great season. KO Weeks is starting to find his feet again now. They're at fullback, scoring a try in this game. Really nice. Ethan Strange, bro, it's so strong through the hips. He's such a good little player coming up through the grades. Matty Nicholson, a great find. And talking about, the Raiders players stepping up, Jamal Fogarty, obviously heavily rumored now that he'll be moving away from the Canberra Raiders next season and moving to the Manly Seagulls with DCE, obviously leaving the club. Your thoughts overall on that signing for the Manly Seagulls, and with the Canberra Raiders, they're probably going to bring up Ethan Sanders. Your thoughts on that move there too?
Yeah, it just speaks highly of Jamal Fogarty. Ricky's come out and said he doesn't want to lose him, but an offer like that, unfortunately, we can't match it, and you got to take care of your family. So he wants the best for him. He knows what type of ability Jamal Fogarty brings to the Canberra Raider club. He's such a perfect fit for the Canberra Raider club because it is just a please kick long. Our defense and forward pack will do the rest. Like they don't need anything special, and he just provides what Canberra Raider needs. So it will be sad for him to leave, and Canberra will struggle. But hopefully, Ethan Strange and Ethan Sanders can build that nice combination and continue on. But good on Jamal Fogarty. It's looking like a 3-year deal, 2.1 million over the 3 years. So, well deserved. Well deserved. I don't know how he'll go at Manly. I think maybe that's what Manly do need as well. Somebody that just chugs along and consistent, but not to say that Cherry Evans hasn't been that. So I don't know if he will be Manly's problem solver, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a real awkward move from Manly because like you're letting go of an experienced halfback to bring in another experienced halfback that just cheaper, right? So probably frees up a little bit of cash maybe to help out around him. Obviously a great kicking game on him that the Raiders are losing, but they bring in a kid, Ethan Sanders, that's really incredible. He's playing great footy in Cup at the moment, very highly touted. We do also got to understand too, guys, if Raiders fans out there, got to understand that, young kids when it comes to halfbacks, like, let them take time. They will, obviously they'll have moments that they won't be a Jamal Fogarty straight away. Jamal Fogarty obviously got let go by the Titans and he started to hit his best form with the Raiders, even though he had great form, I believe, with the Titans as well. So great situation overall. Ethan Sanders gets his crack next year. And off the back of that, Jamal Fogarty gets his money that, he's worked so hard for. How great of a career that he's had. He's went from the Gold Coast Titans after debuting late from the Burleigh Bears. And then, he goes to the Raiders, got his crack. He's had injuries. He's fought through those. And then now he's going to Manly, bro. And he's getting his money worth because of all the hard work he's gotten through. And he's amazing kicking game as well.
100%, bro. And like you said, he's a guy that had riddled injuries throughout his career. So it's just good to see him. Hopefully he can stay injury free for the rest of his career and just enjoy that last couple of year period in his career, getting some good money.
100%. And moving over to our last game we'll touch on before we go to our team of the week and that, bro. The valiant West Tigers hold off the Sharkies to move forward from the Lockie Galvin drama. Well done for the West Tigers there. 20-18, my bro, against the Shark side that hasn't really hit its straps this season. A lot probably talking about there, but your thoughts on the West Tigers coming into this game? Obviously a lot of media around them, but they got it done here. Very valiant defensively. They've got it done. Obviously, we touched on the sin bins earlier. That did not help him in this game. But, overall, very, very good performance there from the Tigers.
I think it's time for either Trindle or Hines to move on. I don't know what they're doing wrong, but it's not working. It's as simple as that. I don't know if they're not getting enough touches for their own liking and it just upsets the team chemistry, or I really don't know. I don't know what the Sharks' problem is. They got a good back five. They've got a good forward pack, and they've got two decent halves on paper. Like, it makes zero sense to me. Their bench is pretty strong as well. But I just think it's got to be the halves, because when we have seen the Sharks successful, one of them really takes the game by the horns, and the other you wouldn't even know is out there. So that to me tells me that's what's to go right. So I think that's probably what's going wrong when it goes wrong, and you are glitching out.
I know my video camera's glitching out. Hopefully I'll fix it by doing that. See how we go, guys. You can still hear me, so I'm here.
There we go.
I'm here. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I think a little bit of the issue, bro, I think both these guys obviously want to be a halfback. They want to be the main guy in the side. I think they are struggling with that like dynamic of like Trindle. Does Trindle need to take the back seat? Does Hines need to take the back seat? Like, try to figure out, does Hines play better off the back of a halfback, or does Hines play better as being the halfback? Like, Hines, we saw those years. That's what I believe. You know, you saw those years with Matty Moylan. You know, he won his daily end, but he was just honestly everywhere on the field, try assist, left, right, and center. I think that, you know, obviously there was a lot of things that the reasons why the Sharkies couldn't get it done at the tail end of the season, but Hines was so young at being a halfback in that period. Like, give him time to grow. Give him a guy that's going to be his foil. Braden Trindle, he could probably get a decent sum on the open market too, now being a halfback. You know, he's a halfback himself, right? Yeah. I feel like clean, like, you know, when we're talking about clubs that are chasing halves, you're talking about the Bears coming into the competition very shortly as well. You know, even the PNG side coming in, like halfbacks are at dime a dozen. And like, there's one there for the Sharks playing in a 6 jersey, trying to figure out a combination with a guy that's also a number 7. So I think for me, that's the issue. But like, the Sharks have got themselves in this weird predicament right now. Is like, it's going to be a big news story, whichever one they're going to drop out. And Atkinson's more than likely going to be the one to step up. But because Atkinson's been playing in that 14 limbo role, does he reclaim the form that he had before as well? Like, so.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, I feel you, bro. Because the Sharkies, as you said, there's not much wrong with the side at all, really. It's such a balanced side. And like, I don't blame Kennedy. I think Kennedy's been incredible.
No,
like,
he's been outstanding.
He's been outstanding. Like, you know, Adam Fanor-Blake's even getting through his meters and that. Even though, like, I understand, like, Adam's an individual type player. He's going to get his meters no matter what. But I think he's helped out the Sharkies in their attack in some areas. They have this soft underbelly at the moment. I feel like it's because they don't have control of the game. Yeah. They just lose it all the time.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. There's not a dominant half there, but you could talk about the Sharks like this week in, week out, to be honest. But moving on to the Tigers, shout out to a good bounce back performance. Nothing like silencing the media by having a win. So, and Ash
I'm gonna try and fix this up. Here we go. Quickly, I'll throw to you, bro. Terrell May's performance in this one, over 80 minutes. You know,
85,
a big 85 charge down. He was angry when he got pulled off as well. Your thoughts on him this season? Overall, like, you know, is he Origin? What's your thoughts there?
He kind of has to be Origin now, right? You can't argue it. I don't know how he would go up against the top tier of Origin, how fast-paced Origin is. I don't expect him to play 80, but you don't want him to play 80. You just want that ability, knowing that he can get through 80 minutes of clubland. But if he put in even a good 50 minutes in Origin and just really, you know, full throttled it, what the fuck? I'm like, this dude put on a mask? Stitch up for the show, or what's going on? But look, for me, you have to have Terrell May now. You know, the guys that can play that 80, but you just tell them to go full throttle for that 40, 50, and really just spell them there, so that way you're getting good quality minutes. Not that his 80 minutes aren't quality, but we just know how much of a faster game State of Origin is.
And lastly, just jumping off it, you know, Lockie Galvin, you know, come out. I've heard, obviously, you know, listening to the podcast over the weekend, it was a really good point brought up that I think what helped Lockie Galvin was he got brought back in on an Anzac Day game. So the booing of him running out, that didn't happen because there was obviously everyone trying to be respectful for Anzac Day. I think that a couple of Tigers fans said there was slight booing in moments when they called out the team or whatever. But to have that performance that he had over the weekend, that's how he shut down like a lot of like the rumors or everything that's going down, the circus of what rugby league is. Have a good performance, go out there and show that you want to play football and you want to play football at your level, professional from the kid. I thought he was incredible out there for the Tigers.
100% he was, brother. And as you said, he's just a kid. Just let him play footy. There's no problem in wanting to leave the club. I think it was all blown out further than it needed to be, and good on him for getting back out there and not letting it bother him and just getting on with footy.
100%, bro. 100%. All right, we'll swing over to our team of the week and our awards of the week as well. Brother, who was your fullback of the weekend?
Look, it got a little tighter than I thought it was gonna, but I went with James Tedesco.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with James Tedesco. Obviously, big shout out. Scott Drinkwater, I thought was incredible.
Yep.
Will Kennedy had a lot of good moments. Am I missing someone? I feel like I'm missing someone big.
Pappenhausen wasn't his best, greatest, but it was good to see Tommy Trbojevic back. But again, not a masterclass there. Maybe Cobbo. I don't know. Nah. I think it was Teddy or Drinkwater for me, so it had to be Teddy this week, though.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, bro. The amount of minutes he ran for, obviously scoring a couple of tries in that game, or a try in that game. I think a couple. Double check. Yeah, a couple of tries in that game. Great performance from Teddy. Captain's knock, absolutely incredible when the Roosters needed him most. Moving over to the wingers of the week, bro.
I went with Marky Mark from the Roosters, and I went with Robert Derby with the hat trick.
Bang, bang. We got a double there, bro. I went with the same two overall. We touched on a little bit of Marky Mark and Robert Derby having a great performance off the back of the Cowboys, just stripping apart the Gold Coast Titans. Talk about that. Centers of the week. Who have you got there?
I went with Jack White and Isaac Tungo, both in losing teams, but both best player on ground for their teams.
I thought, Jack Whiten was incredible. Same with Isaac. We'll talk about Isaac Tungo a little bit later on in Supercoach, but I thought Jack Whiten was really, really good. I went with a couple of different ones. I went Jackson Purdue. I thought Jackson Purdue looked really nice over the weekend again. He's been in a couple of times on my team of the week. And Ruben Garrick, who I thought had a really solid game against the Panthers. The other one I was going to throw up there, I thought Tolu Kola had some really beautiful, like that moment.
Yeah, that nice try. Yeah.
That shape. Oh, that came close. We'll touch on try of the week, but I think that came close for me as well too.
Oh, really? Nah, I didn't see it as try of the week, but it was definitely a beautiful set play.
Yeah, beautiful. Moving over to our 6 and 7, who we got?
Yeah, this was another tough one. You could have gone, I think it was a coin flip between 4 guys, but I went with Sanders Smith and Adam Reynolds.
Yeah, I went with the same two as you. Obviously, Tom Dearden was very, very close.
Yeah, Tommy Dearden and Jamal Fogarty were my other two ones to really touch on. But yeah, I went with Smith and Adam Reynolds.
Yeah, I couldn't begrudge anyone that went the opposite way of Tom Dearden over Sandon. But for me, I think Sandon Smith, on a big game, Anzac Day, to step up in that performance when, the Roosters had been a little bit down and out. Cowboys in red hot form, and Tommy Dearden off the back of a 50-point drum and getting 5 try assists. That sounds amazing as well. But I thought, Sandon was incredible as well. Moving over to the front row, who have we got?
I went with Haas or May as one spot, and you can coin flip both those guys because they were outstanding. And then for my other one, I went with Jackson Ford. I thought he was outstanding off the bench, a guy that's really makeshifted himself to fit the system. He's normally a back rower, and to really slide into that front row and have a solid performance and bagging himself a double. Shout out to Jacko. I couldn't go past him this week.
Yeah, there was a lot of good prop performances over the weekend. I went with the two that you had in the same position. I went Payne Haas and Terrell May. Shout out to Jacko, as you said, a couple of tries from all just hard work, right? It's just always just finding himself in the right place. That's what you do when you work hard. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. Lindsay Collins 100%. Is a beneficiary to that all the time. But Payne Haas, Terrell May, I thought, Terrell May, the minutes he got through, the work he got through is always amazing. But Payne Haas, he does that, but with just this power. Like, he is something different.
Yeah. It's like very damaging runs, not just the constant engine that you see of Terrell May.
Yeah, totally agree. Number 9 for the week.
I went with Billy Walters, bro. You cut me deep on the weekend, so I had to give him a shout out.
What happened every time we roll out to Suncorp Stadium, we watch the Broncos play, Billy Walters always has his best games.
Just turns it on for us.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I hate it. I went with Wade Egan. Shout out to Wade. I thought he was a key piece in our win against the Newcastle Knights. So shout out to Wade. He's been incredible for us. Moving to the edge back rollers, bro.
Yeah, Jeremiah Nenai, Ali Katoa, two absolute guns.
I went Jeremiah Nenai and Ola Kawatu. I thought Ola Kawatu was really strong over the weekend as well.
Take your pick there. Both solid. Katoa, Olakawatu, either one.
I don't know why my camera keeps dipping out, but it's really annoying.
Last of all, still see ya.
Yeah. Last of all, Aaron. Oh, I went Aaron Clark in a 13 jersey. Who'd you go?
It's Aaron Clark, bro. Don't even say
bro.
lock of the week at the moment. It just put it as Aaron Clark.
He's just locked in at the moment. I don't like,
What is-
honestly, I don't want to be biased, but like, bro.
We may as well start calling him Aaron Yo, eh?
Aaron Yo. He's just going to lock up that 13 jersey for the rest of the year. Shout out to him.
I think so, bro. Behind Terrell May, he's honestly the buy of the season so far.
It feels good coming from a fan that's not just a Warriors fan overall, just screaming it out, saying, no, he's one of the buys of the season. But now everyone's starting to see it.
100%. I didn't see it in the first couple of weeks. Like, I thought he was solid, but now that he's like putting it together for long minutes as well, like the fitness is there, it's very noticeable.
100%, bro. 100%. Shout out to Aaron Clark. Amazing job this year. So moving over, we'll go our hit of the week, try of the week, play of the week, and egg of the week. So hit of the week.
Yeah, there wasn't too many hits this week, but tackle of the week for me was De Groot on Purdue. Like, normally you would hear about Jackson Purdue's speed and how quick he is, but to get mowed down and to De Groot to get that try saver, it had to be my tackle of the week.
Big moment there, you know, Jalen De Groot. He's got a bit of toe to him as well, but Jackson Purdue, we see the speed that he had. We saw in the trials, you know, a couple of years ago against the Broncos where he was pretty much gone and no one could catch him. No Selwyn, none of those boys can get to him. To De Groot to do that, amazing job. I went with kind of a duo, right? I went Lockie Galvin's try saving tackle on Thomas Hazelton. I thought that was a big moment there on a really big man. And obviously Lockie Galvin being in the news, I think that was a big moment in this game. And off the back of that, Suni Turuva, the guy that obviously put out the post, all that sort of stuff of Lockie Galvin, the try-saving effort of knocking the ball out of Atkinson's hands, of causing the error. That could have been a for sure try there to force the game into overtime. Great moments.
You're loving the Tigers at the moment, eh?
Bro, I'm jumping on the energy, bro. I love the energy.
All right, I see.
Until they verse us again, then fucking enemy number one. All right, moving over. Try of the week, bro. Who we got?
I went with Ronaldo Mulatalo. I thought, you know, it was a good little build up. And then for a winger to want to push himself off the wing to the middle of the field when nothing was really happening, just to punch a line like that. Incredible. I'm
right there with you, bro. Ronaldo can do this in moments too. Like he's very up and downs at moments too, Ronaldo. But when he's in form and when he's playing like that, like he's one of the best wingers in a comp. It's just 100%. He has those moments where he has those errors and stuff that kind of drops him back a little, a peg a little bit.
100%, brother. You're 100% right there.
Player of the week.
I went with Adam Reynolds as my player of the week.
Ooh, I like it. I had out of two and I chose Sandon Smith. I thought he was incredible for the Roosters in that game, but the other guy was Adam Reynolds because I was starstruck in that performance of the Dogs.
Take your pick there, but yeah, I went with Adam Reynolds, and I know he only put it together for the one half, but that's all it was needed. And to do it against a team like the Bulldogs is a bit more of a nod to Sandon maybe doing it against the Dragons, but that's no 100%. Knock on Sandon. I definitely think he was probably player of the week stats wise, more so than Reynolds, but just the way that Reynolds really controlled the game and handled that ambush in the first half, just couldn't go past him.
Yeah, and he's goal kicking in moments too. It's just like a dagger every time he hits him. It's crazy. Egg of the week.
It's Ronaldo as well. So you said those moments. It's Ronaldo. And that's another thing that the high tackle is going to do, is going to bring shit like this forward.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And he's definitely a close one for me. Egg of the week. I went with Ryan Papenhuyzen. Screwed my super coach, captain of Ryan Papenhuyzen. Why would you call out a captain's challenge on a play that you're going to get Simbin for a professional foul on? Does me.
Literally, brother. Honestly, that was my egg of the week until I seen a reel of Ronaldo and it reminded me. But yeah, Pappy, don't challenge again, brother.
Shout out to Jose as well, getting in early in the chat as well. I'm pretty sure Ronaldo was his egg of the week. So shout out to you, Jose. Thank you so much for coming back in. Also, Jose, we are doing a Supercoach show with this show as well this week. No Supercoach show tomorrow night. So ask your Supercoach questions as well when we get to it very shortly. And while we're at it anyway, we'll move over to our tips of the week. So obviously, I will not be naming the stadiums each and every game here because there's that magic round at Suncorp Stadium. So first game of the round, magic rounds. We got the Cronulla Sharks versus the Parramatta Eels. Hopefully, the weather is very, very nice for us out there. Coming into this game, Kale Iro returns from injury. Obviously, Hiroti, unfortunately, for super coaches out there, out due to a knee injury. Kelma Tulangi out for the Parramatta Eels, and I'm pretty sure Charlie Geimer fills in for him on the edge as well, bro. What are you seeing in this game? Who are you going for?
I think on paper the Sharks should win this one, but I just don't know how they're going to go momentum wise, and if they're really going to be up for it. And I don't know if the Eels are still going to be riding that high from before the bye. So I'm going to go the Sharks, but I'm not confident.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Sharks because I feel like they need to have a bounce back after the performance of last week. Parramatta are going to make it really tough for them. So I can see this being a 1-12 and a very good game. This could actually come close to being game of the week.
Nah, I reckon Melbourne Raiders, but yeah.
You reckon Melbourne Raiders?
Yeah, I reckon Melbourne Raiders be a cracker.
See, I think the attacking football that is within these two sides, it could have big line breaks, big moments like that. Mitchell Moses stringing together some things, but we definitely, the Raiders are versus the Melbourne Storm always bring out a good contest as well. So I can't begrudge 100%. You on that call there. Moving over to the Roosters versus the Dolphins, brother. In this game here, Daniel Saifidi out due to injury as well. And not too many other changes going on with both these sides here from memory. Your thoughts on this game? Who are you going to go for here?
Go back up to those odds, bro. I think that's fucking outstanding odds for the Roosters. Why is it so close 88. After what the Roosters did last week and the Dolphins did last week? And then ChatGT said before that Saifidi was the only go forward for the Dolphins. He's now out, and they're this close. Like, I'm going to be loading up on the Roosters right now. The Roosters for me, brother. Yeah, and I think potentially 13 plus if they bring any sort of form that they had the other night.
I'm going to go to Roosters 1-12. I think the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins will still turn up on Magic Round at Suncorp. Obviously, last week was not good in any sort of sense of the things, but seeing Jeremy Marshall King being named in that number 9 jersey, I think that changes things a little bit for me for the Dolphins. But the Roosters, I've got them 1-12 here. I think that they're starting to swing games into their favor, especially at the back of their defense as well. So I'm going the Roosters.
I don't see it. I don't see the Roosters.
You don't see it close?
No, because yeah, I can see it close.
Suncorp.
Yeah, but away Suncorp and no membership fans there. You know what I mean? Like, not just packed out with Dolphins fans.
Yeah,
and Max Plaff is just massively missing from that Dolphins team right now.
That's definitely a really good point. I didn't really point out that Max Plaff is out there too. Also on this, what is with the Brisbane sides or the Queensland sides getting away games here at Suncorp?
I don't know. They should be one of the ones that have to miss the round, to be honest, and it should count as a fucking home game for them. And if you also notice, the Broncos don't get affected by the first 2 State of Origins on bye week either. Just throwing that out there.
It's crazy. It is crazy. What a draw. Moving over to the first game on the Saturday, we got the Rabbitohs versus the Knights. We'll be at these games, so I'm very excited to see these ones. Obviously, the big news out of this one, no Latrell Mitchell due to suspension. Newcastle, Tyson Gamble has been named in the reserves. Do they bring him late in for Cogger, like they kind of have planned to start the season? I'm not too sure. What are you sitting in this game? Do you think the Knights can bounce back?
Jack Whiten's out as well, so I don't know who Rabbits are captaining and having in their 5'8". I think the Knights finally bounce back in this one. I think too many's out for the Rabbits.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna go to Newcastle Knights. I think that finally, hopefully, KP will have a great game, and we'll talk about that very, very shortly. It just seems like, hopefully it builds up to the round of Suncorp Stadium, dry track, hopefully, Kalen Ponga, who usually has great performances at Magic Round. I'm going Newcastle Knights 1-12 because I think the Rabbitohs, they still have that steel in them where they'll make it a close contest.
Yeah, I see that, brother.
Moving over to the mid-game on the Saturday, the New Zealand Warriors versus the North Queensland Cowboys. No Jacob Laban due to a HIA after the game. He had a head knock issue with the Cowboys. It's pretty much top to bottom from last week from the Gold Coast Titans game. Who are you going in this one, my bro? Do you think the Cowboys will just continue on their streak? They go for a 5-0 streak if they win this game.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are due to drop off, brother. I think I'm going to go the Warriors in a close one. I'll go 1-12.
Yeah, I'm going to go my wires 1-12. I think this is going to be a really close game as well. I think the Cowboys can score points on us. I think I predicted like a 28-20 type of game. And the Warriors, obviously, attacking wise, hopefully just get a lot more ball down the opposite end of the field and just keep peppering them and get errors out of their back three there too. So I'm going to go the Warriors 1-12 in this one.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning towards as well, brother.
Beautiful, beautiful. The West Tigers versus the Dragons. The last game on the Saturday night, brother. In this one, Finau, unfortunately, being dropped from the side for Corey Allen coming in on the wing for the Dragons. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, shout out to Corey Allen finally making it back from a long-awaited ACL injury. So I can't back the Dragons on their performance last week, so I've got to go with the Tigers. I've got to go Tigers 1-12.
They also dropped Ilias as well for King Dongyar. So talented kid in New South Wales Cup. We'll have to wait and see how he goes back into first grade. He ended the year in that 6 jersey as well. But I think at the moment, I'm going to go the West Tigers 1-12 in a very, very close one.
Yeah, I think so too, brother.
Especially
Again, they're nearly outsiders as well. So there's some good odds this weekend. Like you go bang on that Saturday, Roosters, Warriors, Tigers. That's a nice little multi right there.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Like the Roosters aren't on the fucking...
Rabbitohs.
No, you go the Knights, Warriors, Tigers, Roosters.
You can even, just if you want to go a Magic Round multi, you go Roosters, Warriors, Tigers, and maybe, we'll end it there.
go down a bit lower. Oh, no. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
All right. We got the Titans versus your Doggies over the weekend. Do the Titans bounce? Do the Bulldogs bounce back? It's both a bounce back game in this one. The Gold Coast Titans obviously struggling. They have dropped Dave Fafita and Josiah Pahulu comes in for him. With the Doggies, unfortunately, no Josh Curran, no Matt Burton, no Satili Tupanua. So you bring in Bailey Hayward into that 6 jersey. Moving to your bench, actually, you bring in Daniel Saluka Fafita and also onto your bench. The man that we've been waiting for a little while, Curtis Morin, and also Blake Taft sitting in at 17. Do you think that's maybe a smoke screen, or do you think he does play?
Nah, he'll probably play, bro. I think he'll play.
Okay, your thoughts here?
We had a game where we played him in that role. I think it was not the Rabbits, the game before the Rabbits. Yeah, weird one. Fafita being dropped out. I don't think he'll stay out. I think he'll come in last minute. I think Hasler's trying to really just get a reaction out of him. So I think Fafita will play. I'm going to go the Doggies, but I'm definitely not confident at Suncorp and with our players out. I think our bench should still roll theirs in our system. They've got such a young bench there. It'll just be about making sure that we start the game well and get into our grind. If we start anything, obviously like the Broncos game, we'll get blown away. But I believe we'll start well. There'll be a fuse lit under us to come back and we'll take a good win here, hopefully.
I spy with my little eye a guy playing on the edge that shouldn't be playing on an edge. So that could be a little smoke screen there where the Dave Fafita gets a late come back into the side and maybe we see Chris Randall drop to a bench and one of these guys drop back out as well. That could definitely happen. Or, as you said, Desi could be firing a shot there too. But I'm going Doggies here. I'm going to go Dogs 1-12. I do think that the Titans will be desperate in this game, but I think your system will get it done, even with the players that you've had out. You've shown you're able to do that against the Sharkies this season. I know this is a little bit worse than that with a couple of... Actually, it's probably right there, hand in hand, right? Matt Burton out, Josh Curran out, and Satili Tupanua. You still got Viliami Kikau. You've got, Bailey Hayward in there to fill in that role too. So, and yep, exactly. So, I am going to go Dogs 1-12 here.
Yeah, I think the Doggies, but I won't put a scoreline on it. Any bets on with Lockie, Hosier? No, I don't have any bets on, but I'm sure we'll make a couple when we're drunk on Saturday together. And there'll be some silly bets made on that Saturday night, I dare say. But I also hear a rumor that he's wearing a Warriors jersey on the Saturday, so I think he's given up on the Titans.
Shout out to the new fan, Lockie Holloway. We'll be getting a Warriors tattoo together. Yeah, I'm excited, bro. He'll look good in a Warriors jersey, mate.
Yeah, maybe bring back shades of Shawnee J.
Hey, well, it was his favorite player. He should have been a Warriors fan from the start, eh? Moving over to the Panthers versus the Brisbane Broncos. The Broncos being the away team in this one, as we discussed before. But with the Penrith Panthers, No Brad Schneider, who I think they were carrying on the bench anyway. Trent Tolau comes in for them there. Also, Maverick Geyer on the bench as well. With the Brisbane Broncos, no changes really at all. Jordan Reiki comes back into the side. Xavier Willison holds on to his other edge spot. Brendan Piacorta goes back to the bench, bro. Where are you sitting in this game?
Yeah, they finally dropped out a couple of hookers, the Broncos, and Casey McLean's been dropped for the Panthers for Luke Garner to play starting. So that's an interesting move. I think that's a defensive move, in my opinion. Yep. So
Scotty Sorensen there too.
I can't go. He played last week. He didn't get suspended. Oh, yeah, he didn't get suspended. Happy days.
He got suspended, I think.
Oh, he did get suspended. That's right. He got 2 weeks. So I wonder
maybe a late move.
Papali'i there, maybe, or Garner there. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I can't go the Panthers in the form they're in. I got to go with the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm probably right there with you. I got to see the Panthers click back now. Like, before I can go back on, I'm going to go to the Broncos. In again, this one could possibly blow out to a 13 plus. If they turn up with the same sort of mentality as last week, Payne Haas and that get going, I'm going to go that Broncos 13 plus at Suncorp Stadium against the Panthers.
I can see it.
Moving over to the last game of the round, Brodie's game of the round as well. The Melbourne Storm versus the Canberra Raiders. This is actually, it's going to be a belter of a game by the looks of it. No real changes I see from both these sides here. Was there any changes from memory? No.
Nah, nothing in this one, brother.
So your thoughts on this game?
I heard rumors that Nelson, if he played well last week, which it looked like he did on his stats in New South Wales Cup, that he might get a late inclusion. So maybe expect Big Nelson to take a bench spot. Other than that, top to bottom.
Yep, sweet. So, what's your thoughts on this game here? Melbourne Storm, not the greatest game of the weekend. They had moments of clicking back into gear in that game against the Rabbitohs, who really fought it with them. The Raiders obviously coming back off a really major comeback victory, and the Raiders in good form at the moment. Storm 1-12 for me.
Yeah, Storm 1-12 for me as well, brother. I think this is probably going to be a little hiccup on the Raiders' road, but be a good game nonetheless.
100%, guys. All right, we'll move over to our Supercoach portion of the show. So moving over to we'll go through. Hold up, I'm going to fix this up so we can get this straight up as well. Guys, make sure you jump into the chat as well and let us know, any of your questions for your Supercoach this week. So last week, if I can find my game day, thank you. That'll be nice. Round 8. Where are we at? Down Unders League. What position are you currently running out, bro? Down Unders.
I think I'm like 17th or 18th.
Shout out to Liam again, just always killing it. Shout out to Serena's Sinners, 1,500 over the weekend.
Yeah, that's insane.
Who did I have? James Tedesco with the vice captain loop by the looks of it. That's Scotty Drinkwater, Eli Katsoa. What a game.
That's, fuck's sake. 1555, that's huge.
That's huge. All right, I'm still on. Let us know if you can see. I've totally missed you here.
I shouldn't be. What's going on? You're not in mine, are you? No.
Yeah, I'm in Down Unders.
Oh, there we go. 20.
There you go. You got that. You got a little emblem going on there. I haven't done my emblem just yet, but shout out to Supercoaches out there.
It's apparently a jinx, so don't do it.
All right, this weekend, guys, I scored 1,390. Bro scored 1,231 over the weekend, brother. Your talking points for players in this game. Who performed really well for you? Who was your big standouts, and who was your downfall this weekend?
Yeah, I fucked up. I had the vice captain loop set after Thursday night's game, and then just watching the game, and I think I seen a little snippet from Supercoach Whisperer maybe, and he was at the Melbourne game, and he had a photo of Pappenhausen goal kicking, and that made me just go, nah, Pappy captain. And then I had an afterthought again when they were doing like the oath and stuff. No, fucking go back to Payne, but it already locked out, so I couldn't change it. So I fucked up there mostly. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with majority of my guys. Like, I know it was a high scoring week for Supercoach, but 1231 is still a decent score in my opinion. But yeah, just Billy Smith didn't fire, Gutho. Other than that, everybody else, like Karaz obviously would have liked more, but in the game that's not a bad score. But
But yeah, other than that, I didn't play Sandon, and you know that's not going to happen every week, so I'm not too worried there. Other than that, it's pretty much it is what it is. You know, you had a couple of guys that really, really did fire, but yeah, I'm not too stressed at all.
No, moving over to my guys here, just touching on obviously Vietnam kick out, 68. He was at 77. The updates really screwed me there, which sucks, and I know it screwed you as well. But Payne Haas and all that holding up the show. Sanders Smith with 129. I'm so happy that I've held him in there. You know, he ran out with injury. I've just gone, no, Sandon will carry me through this period. A little bit of luck that ended up there, but, you know, incredible performance. So very good job there. I did captain Papenhausen over the weekend, 132. You know, off the double. So I did wish for a little bit more, and that sin bin for Puppy just absolutely killed me. You know, when he saw that, that's why he had to be my egg of the week. Shout out to Corey Horsburgh, 67 points after, you know, we were worried about his minutes overall. But you know, very, very good performance. We'll quickly jump over to the players of the week too while we're at it. Moving over to the round 8 players of the week. Tommy Dearden, 143. Robert Derby, 135. Just Cowboys left, right, and center here, eh?
Yeah, that Derby one, I wouldn't be buying him if I was anybody. Like, if you look at his previous scores compared to just this one performance, it's really shot him up in points. It's not good. Like, he's in his 20s and 30s for 80-minute performances. So I wouldn't be jumping on the Derby train, especially in a tough defensive matchup against the Wires.
I'm right there with you. A guy that could look at a buy, but it is all dependent on his origin. Bo Fermor here, 132. Very, very good one there. He's been scoring fairly well this season as well. Obviously, the round 3 average, that 76 would be helped up with that 132. But I think he's been
100%.
pretty solid for the Gold Coast Titans.
Yeah, he's getting more run of the green now with Fafita definitely being out as well. Or not definitely being out, but being dropped and shit going on there. So he's just been that quiet achiever at the moment.
100%. Jeremiah Nanai as well. I think a lot of people are targeting him to back in. I know I was kind of envisioning, like, looking at maybe bringing him in this weekend, but I went opposite ways. 131 over the weekend. Really, really good work there.
Yeah, 100%. I was in the same boat as you, looking to target him, but my rule now leading into Origin is not buying anybody playing or potentially playing Origin.
Totally agree with you, bro. And lastly, a couple of guys I want to touch on. Shout out to Jamal Fogarty. I'm pretty sure Jose is a Jamal Fogarty owner.
He is.
You've swung and you hit for a home run there, but 125, and he's been absolutely killing it in that halfback jersey this year, for especially when you have Nico Hines and that not getting to that level. When you get a 60, 79, all that holding that with a Jamal Fogarty, you'd be happy with that.
100%. And now he's like reaping cash as well. So Jose jumped on Sal and Cobo. But look, I don't think it's a bad move. I think he's cheap. He's going to go up in cash regardless, but he's not going to score a hat trick, brother. That was on the wing. I could be wrong, but that was on the wing when he scored those 2 hat tricks for Magic Round. But he is cheap enough to really jump on now and maybe ride back into price. But he has got Origin potential.
Yeah, exactly. He's still got he's got an Origin worry there. The other thing is, like, Selwyn, we know Selwyn, like, it's a better position for him at fullback because he's going to get ball in good position, right? But he still has errors in his game. You will see it in future. If the longer he plays at a fullback, you will see these little things pop up in his game. He's got errors still in him. He's had games early in the season where he scored 3 tries on the Raiders and got like a 70, right? Which is like mind-boggling. That should be a 130 upwards type of game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I wouldn't go near him. And as you said, he is definitely Origins. Wouldn't say smoky. He's definitely within the frame.
100%. So I'm just hesitant to touch there. I'm not trying to move heaven and earth to get him.
No way. Moving to my trades of this week, I got Scotty Drinkwater in for Clint Gutherson. We will definitely speak about this. Clint Gutherson, I feel like he's teetering within that edge now of, like, does he still have the potential of going higher upsides there with 135s and stuff what he got early on the season? But he's now losing cash, and I don't want to lose too much cash and it be in a like Kalen Ponga situation, which a lot of people are in with KP. So that's the reason why I went that way.
Yep, I think you bang on the money there, brother. He got up to what, 800 and something. I think we picked up Gutho at 630. So with another 44 that he scored on the weekend, if he has another bad week this week, he'll drop probably another 80 to 100K. So we'll be back right where we started with him. And just watching the Dragons attack, like I've seen somebody put up a stat, his touches and involvements are still the same. I don't think they are, or I don't think his good quality ones are the same.
I agree.
Because he's been cut out, or the block runner, or the Dragons are using their edge a lot more. Maybe the young 5'8" this week will actually, young halfback, sorry, will probably maybe benefit Gutho, taking a bit more shape control. But I just don't want to risk that when you got better guys that you can look for now in Drinky and Teddy.
And judging those touches, maybe those touches came from more runs out of the back end, right? Or offload, stuff like that. But it's definitely not the good shape that they were running before, where Gutho was like slinging it there. Now they're usually tunnel balling him to Valentine Holmes, and Valentine's really controlling that edge there on that left edge. That's humming for him. So for me, I can't risk it again to lose even more cash out of him. May as well move him on now for a guy that's probably, you know, red hot form currently going into Origin period, that will play majority of the Origin period as well. So very excited for him. Kalen Ponga comes in for me for Reece Walsh. This is a little bit more of a risky one there. Obviously, he's Origin. He's probably going to be playing fullback for the Queensland Maroons, but that's still definitely up in the air. Walsh, he's obviously not playing for me right now. I just think KP's bottomed out. So he's at that point right now where obviously he gets another 44. Maybe he goes down to 500K. But from there, as we know of KP and what he's scoring week in, week out, he's scoring 50s and 40s when not having any tries, like big try assists. He's not having any big attacking moments at the moment. When he does become KP that we know and love, he's going to shoot back up, and I want to find that rise. And I think this weekend can pivot towards that. Dylan Lucas now back off of one game against the Warriors. Hopefully it gives him a little bit more space on that edge. So I'm swinging that way. It's a risky move, but I'm going that way.
I don't think it's too risky at all. I think the Rabbits will be shot to shit this week with a few bigger players out again in Jack White and Latrell. I think KP finally fires. I think he gets a couple of try assists, if not a try, and we'll see the Knights finally put some more points on. So his goal kicking will pick up as well. But yeah, 5-2-8, is it? What is that? 5-3-8.
Yep.
5-3-8 is an absolute steal for someone like Kalen Ponga. I think it's even worth getting him in this period, even though he's going to have Origin. As long as you've got two other fullbacks that aren't playing Origin, it's not a bad thing to hold Ponga here for me and ride that price rise back up and use him to get to somebody like Tommy once he's done Origin, or Latrell once he's done suspensions and Origin. That's where I would be aiming.
If you were a KP owner, right?
Hold.
Are you holding?
100%. You can't sell now. He's lost something like 300K. I know, maybe 260K or something. You just got to hold. It's going to get better. I think the Knights play every game after Origin, so if KP does want to back up, he will. And if the Knights aren't in the top 8, he probably will. I think you got to hold now, and especially through the Origin period, I guess, and unless you do have money falling out of your ass to go into a drink water. But I think you just hold a couple of weeks. They've got a pretty soft draw coming into Origin as well, the Knights. I'm that's kind of how I'm banking on, as the Newcastle Knights right now probably do need wins to kind of get back into that 8 discussion. If they come up to the Origin period still not playing their greatest footy. And as Jose said, I've held KP this long. Might as well keep his underperforming ass. So the next 3 games he's got chances going 100 plus. He's got the Rabbits, and then he's got the Titans at Newcastle, and then the Eels at Newcastle, and then he's also got the Panthers at Bathurst, which, that's tough, but it's the Panthers and they're not in the greatest form. And then he will be gone for the Dragons game for Origin if he gets selected. But there's a good couple of runs there. They don't have a bye until round 18. I know he'll miss a couple if he's selected in Origin, which he will be. But just those 3 weeks alone, if he could put together a couple of 100 scores against some lighter opponents, be laughing.
100%. And last little trade out I done here is I boosted for this one. This will be my last boost of the year. I usually try to keep one, but this year I've just gone pretty hard and heavy early on. So I got Isaac Tungo coming in for Thomas Jenkins. Thomas Jenkins 30 kind of scared me off a little bit now of like, I don't want to lose too much of the cash out of him that I've got before being my cash cow. Isaac Tungo now getting a 95 and looking very good in that 95. More touches, more involvement, obviously, try involvements as well. I want to jump on him now while he's at real low price. He's got the ability to get to a higher price of like a 600, 700K. We've seen that early on with him. So I'm going to ride that now. Hopefully I can ride that wave to a good cash flush.
Yeah, me and you did spot that Tungo shout. I think that's a good idea, especially now you got Luke Garner going into left center. Potentially Scott Scorenson's out, and Blaze just hasn't really found those guys on that left edge properly. We know Dylan Edwards really loves that right edge, so Jenkins is going to get no ball, whereas Tungo is going to get more ball. It's going to be right side dominant for the Panthers, so I think that's a great shout. I looked to get him in, but I went away from it just this week.
Yep, 100%. You could definitely wait out all week on him. I kind of went with a bit more of a just jump on him now. And hopefully he gets a good score this weekend, even though we kind of predicted the Broncos were going to run ragged there over the weekend. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So that leaves my side the way it is now. Ryan Papenhuyzen, Scotty Drinkwater, and KP is on my reserves this week. Hopefully KP fires. My wing center combos, we got Valentine Holmes, Herbie Farnworth, Greg Marju, Jackson Purdue, and Tungo is in my reserves there as well. Obviously, Hiroti, I've held him for this week. He'll be moving on later on. He's not going to lose cash due to just being out injured. So your thoughts there as well? Any thoughts on those?
Nah, it's looking pretty solid. When are you looking to potentially sell Purdue? Do you reckon you will sell him, or do you reckon he's going to be a season-long holder, or do you reckon you will upgrade him at some point? He's getting to a really nice cash rise there.
Yeah, so 6-15 right now. Judging on his scores, obviously the big score last weekend of 130, so that will still be in his rolling 3 average. Once that falls out, and if he's pushed out another 60 maybe, 121, sorry, then I'll probably start like reassessing my situation there, because I will be looking at him, moving him on for a more consistent gun of Supercoach, like a Jacob Carraz or something like that. So he'll be my ticket to him for sure. 64 over the Gold Coast Titans for the weekend. If he goes another 60 and he gets a little bit more cash influx, I'm probably going to move him on within those periods. So
yep.
Moving over to the halves, Cam Munster, Adam Dewey, I haven't got a reserve on him this week. I'm probably just going to hold him there. 72 over the weekend. Could have definitely benefited off that. I don't think I reserved him for that either. So, sucks there. But Nico Hines and Nathan Cleary. I've chucked the VC on Nico Hines this weekend with the Sharkies. I'm pretty sure first game of the round. And then my captain, we'll see a little bit later on here. Terrell May, I've got my captain right now. Before I kind of continue to assess other options that I can go to, but he seems like the safest option right now.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm really seeing a lot of guys just jump on a fronty as a stress-free option of captain, I guess, and you just do your vice captain earlier in the week, and if you have a good game on them, you're lucky. Well, then you roll with the vice captain loop. But other than that, Terrell May is going to bump out that 80 plus, and well, why not just live stress-free?
Yeah. And shout out to my forward pack here. Olakawatu out on a bye this weekend. Tino, Gitgal, and Horsburgh I'm holding on to still. Obviously 67, very good there for a guy that we were worried about, obviously minutes. Adam Fanor-Blake is my last reserve that I have on the bench there. So, he'll definitely be a good hold for the origin period. Shout out to all these other boys there too. Any other queries and stuff that you have here, bro?
Nah, I think that's pretty straightforward. Obviously, you're starting to prepare for Origin as well in the upcoming weeks.
That I am.
Yeah, and then I've seen Jose has traded out Hiroti for Alvarello. What is your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't go anywhere close to Alvarello. The Dolphins, notoriously, as we spoke to before, very up and down. Like, they had a really good form there against 2 top competition from the past, obviously. Panthers and the Melbourne Storm. But obviously, the fall off of what had happened at the over the weekend.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get up. I've never really enjoyed Alvarello as a Supercoach play, and it probably just doesn't start for me now.
I agree. And his other question was Iongi to be reserved this week. I think so. Buller scored pretty well on the weekend against the Sharks. There's no reason Iongi won't as well against the Sharks. And especially, with Mitch Moses there will really help out his score.
100%. Moving over to your side here, bro. Your trades, Teddy in for Gutho, KP in for Jenkins, and Harry Hayes being the boost here in for Thomas Kant.
Yeah. So I had a fair bit of leftover cash, as you can see, before coming into this week. I had 286 just sitting there. So I know Teddy's on a bye next week, so it's only really in. But I really think that after the way that Dolphins played on the weekend, I dare say that there's going to be another big score from Teddy this week. So I really just want to get that in, set and forget at the price he's at. He'll probably be a season-long holder for me now. We touched on KP. Just really wanted to benefit from that price increase there. And yeah, time to move on. Jenkins for me. And Thomas Kant has been obviously demoted to the bench. That's where that 31 came from. And he is now in the reserves. And I just don't want to take the chance that he late changes into the bench again and plays another fuck all minutes. So I'm gone. I was either going to go for Harry Hayes or Sifa Talakai to get me through the origin period. But I lean towards Harry Hayes because his point to minute ratio there, if you did open that up and suss that out, is pretty good. And you know, it's about 1 point something a minute that he will score.
1.2, 1.1s, yeah, about that.
Yeah, so that's decent. And remember, guys, Josh Curran is out for 3 weeks. Satili Tupanura is out for 6 weeks or 5 weeks. You got Curtis Moran, who doesn't play big minutes, and you got Fafita, who doesn't play big minutes, and you've also got then Blake Taff on the bench. So going to be a big spot for Harry Hayes to get a lot of minutes there as a fronty, and I think his work when he is on is outstanding. So he's my sneaky little play there. He's a back rower center duel as well. So next week I'll be trading him into my centers for Horodi out. And I'll be trading a good back rower in. And I'm hoping that Olakuatu doesn't make Origin because he's my cover through Origin period because he doesn't miss any of the major buy rounds. So the major buy rounds, guys, are round 13, 16, and 19. And this is your best 13 scoring players will score points for you. This is the week where a lot of teams have the buys and a lot of Origin players are out. And then you've got the weeks after those, so around 14, 17, and 20, where 3 teams have the buy, but Origin players can back up. And I'm pretty sure those weeks, it's 17 players. You still got to have that play. So
exactly.
Yeah, so the buy periods are very tough ones to navigate around. So make sure you do have some guys there that you can play through these periods. You do get 3 trades for the major buy weeks, but you also don't want to use all your trades around that Origin period. You need some for that back end. So just be cautious this week and the weeks coming up that you are thinking about Origin and guys that will be and not be playing Origin. So and are on bye weeks. So, but yeah.
Better start planning, get it all right in order. Look at guys like, Joseph Tarpanese, Adam Fanil-Blakes, looking at other ones.
Eli Katoa.
Hughes, Eli Katoa's.
But Eli Katoa's got 2 of the major buys as well. So you got to be careful with that. So it's just invest your money wisely.
It is very tough. And Brodie's done a massive little spreadsheet and all that for us. It's been a really, really good help there too. I might end up pushing that spreadsheet maybe to the Wise Up TV chat as well. So we'll have to see how it goes. So, but also moving over to your team here, Ryan Papenhausen, James Tedesco, and Kalen Ponga. Have you set your captain options right now?
Yeah, brother. Yep.
So vice captain of James Tedesco. I love that for you. You got James Tedesco on your side. May as well use him for this vice captaincy for the loop if it does end up going that way. Very, very smart outlook here. And good to see you got your 3 gun fullbacks if KP is able to fire again too.
Yeah, hopefully you can fire for us, brother. I really think it'll be a good one.
100%. Moving over to your center wings here. Farnworth, Karaz, Marju, Brendan Smith. No reserves on any of these boys here. Obviously, Horodi's out for injury, but Tamale, did look at that or no?
I did look at that, but I think Melbourne will be very strong. And I'm hoping Billy Smith has a good bounce back game against the Dolphins. He's up against someone like Alvarello, so should be okay.
There you go, Jose. That's our thoughts there too on Alvarello again. Maybe a couple of missed tackles this weekend against a bigger man on Billy Smith.
Yeah. Just got Haas. Yeah. Get Haas, Jose. Yeah, that's sort of good. I wouldn't stress too much. I'm just saying don't go and load 3 guys that are playing Origin this week or something like that. Like, if you can get Haas, bro, sweet as. And then Hamole will most likely play Origin, though, yeah. Me and Ash are on the fence with this one. Yeah. We know that the Blues will probably go with Angus Crichton and Liam Martin starting, which is no reason not to. And then on the bench, you'd probably carry Hudson Young, in my opinion.
Yep. You got Mitch Barnett there as well.
Mitch Barnett. Yeah, I don't see them carrying Hudson Young and Hamole, so I think Hamole might miss out. The only thing that might screw us is they carry him as 18th man.
Yeah, and looking at your forward rotation, in Origin, you don't want your middle forwards going for big minutes, but you got, Haas, May, and Barnett, and Barnett can cover an edge. You don't want to be covering, having too many edge back rollers on your bench either. When you got Angus Crichton, more than likely Angus Crichton maybe should be there, or, Liam Martin, if they're going off of what they did the years past and how good of players they are overall. And they play for decent minutes as well. So the opportunities for guys to get onto their proper edges and play proper minutes, maybe they push Liam Martin to the middle, they can push someone onto that edge, or Angus Crichton to the middle. So those are the sort of things you got to think about as well. Ola Kawatu, I don't like playing him for the middle. I don't think he's a middle. I think he's an out-and-out edge. I know he's a big body. He's a damaging body, but he's a specific type edge back roller for me. I don't think he's that guy that's becoming like a Spencer Lenu or anything like that overnight. I
agree, brother. I agree. So it's tricky. I hope he doesn't play, because I'll be picking him up on Supercoach to navigate through the Origin period. Because I was looking at Eli Katoa, but he misses 2 of the major bye weeks anyway. So bit rough there.
And when we're looking at form too as well, just quickly before we jump off this too, is like you got Jacob Preston, I feel like is an amazing forward. Hudson Young's probably in the best form out of all those guys. So those are probably the names that are going to come first before Ola Kawatu, in my opinion. And then Ola Kawatu, he had a great game over the weekend, but in that little period before, he was kind of just treading water, like playing well, but not playing to like a very high standard. So, into that area too. But moving back to your side here, brother. Obviously, Cam Munster, Lockie Galvin, their reserve. Well done, Lockie Galvin. 85 there. Good to see him back in your side.
Yeah, saved me a trade, saved me a headache at finding a 5'8" as well, and delivered a good score.
And you went with the same option as me up here too. Terrell May with the captain option right now. Just a plug-in safe play. Will that change over the weekend, or do you think you're just going to roll through with that?
Nah, I think that'll stay over the weekend. I'm not reading too much into changing, unless Teddy goes for like 100 plus, then I'll swap it. But at this stage, it's Terrell May.
Any other queries that you have here?
No. I'm looking at gun back rowers. Like I've got Horsburgh not playing at the moment for Sandon Smith. That could change. But other than that, it's just like I said. Next week, I'm planning on Harry Hayes to the centers and upgrading Horodi to a decent back rower, which might be Ola Kawatu after the bye. But time will tell.
I love that Harry Hayes move from you as well, bro. Like a really good in-depth sort of move there. Great stats coming into that. I think he scored like a 40-50 the week before, about 50. So it's not like he just like has come out of nowhere with those ones. Where I see a lot of people jumping on certain players, like let's say a Derby that's gone 20-20, then the 136. You're going with a guy that's consistently holding those numbers and pumping out with a good PPM. And he's also got the duel of center wing and edge back row, which is it's a pretty good duel.
Exactly. And my other one was gonna be Jack Whiten, because he's playing 5'8". Was supposed to play 5'8" this week. I was gonna get Horodi up for him after his great performance on the weekend with 132 or something, 113. But he has been ruled out with a hamstring injury now, so that's not a shout. But potentially looking at maybe Campbell Graham next week as well.
All right, guys, jump in with your questions before we jump off. We only got probably a couple of minutes left that we're going to kill before we jump off. But before we jump off as well, too, guys, we are both on 26 trades left for Supercoach, and all our boosts are gone after this weekend. So if you're in the same sort of position as us, don't be too worried. We have gone, I feel like this season has gone like that, where shooting early is actually not too bad. And during the, after the Origin period, we're probably going to be more sparingly with like one trade per week or whoever's 100%. Really firing. So, when you're at this point, probably don't want to be under like, I don't even know what the if you traded 3 every week or whatever. If you're at like 24, that's probably where it's like,
I think there was only maybe 1 or 2 weeks where we only went 1 trade instead of 2. So what's that? We're at 26. So yeah, maybe 24, 25. But don't stress, as Ash said. By now, well, you should stress if you haven't got your team pretty much in order. But by now, you should have your team pretty much in order, and it should be just couple of trades through the Origin period to get you through the Origin period. And then after the Origin period, it kind of should be just a set and forget, unless you got to upgrade some guys. But again, you don't need to upgrade everyone. You only need a good 17, 18. Remember that.
And with you, Jose, obviously here in the chat, 30 trades left for him, 2 boosts. If you're in this position as well, don't feel like you have to have boosts. You have to jump on now. Like, you're in a great position, Jose. You're going really well. 30 trades is Amazing. And then you obviously got the ability to boost your trades later on in the season too, which is going to help if there's major injury runs later on the season, which could happen.
Exactly. And you can, with your 30 trades, you can make 3 trades each Origin period. Whereas like me and Ash have got 26 left. I don't think I'll do 3 trades at Origin. I think I'll just do the 2. If I've got enough players, I've got enough players. I won't try and move heaven and earth. But with you can move guys out just to get through the Origin period and score really well, and then move them back in. So you could do that with 30 trades.
Couple of things we'll go through here. Is Charlie Geimer worth putting on reserve? He is starting this week with the Eels, looking mean with Mitchell Moses. What's your thoughts there?
It depends who else you got, brother. I think he'll score well, by all means. But if you've got other guys, it's hard to tell. But I think it could be a shout, because I looked at potentially putting him in instead of Harry Hayes, just to be a bottom dollar cheapie. But I think Harry Hayes would be actually a good move for me. That's all. But Charlie Geimer, I did look at.
Yeah, currently right now he's got Charlie Geimer there. Hugo Savala. What have we got here? These guys are all playing. Last week he reserved Toby Couchman, Billy Smith, Luke Metcalf, and Tino. So a lot of those boys are all playing this weekend by the looks of it too.
So has he got any man out? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ruben Garrick and Ola Kawatu. So Ali Leoto's on your bench there. He can come in for a center wing spot. Yeah. Yeah, it's really dependent on who you got there on your edge. Toby Couchman scores better for me. If you were taking it off him, I would keep it on Toby.
I'd keep it on those same 4 reserves, but you probably had Tino come in for Ola Kawatu and Billy Smith come in for Garrick. So you just need to find 2 more. So who else has he got there?
So non-plays, he had Corey Pakes, Hugo Savala, Ali Leotar, Bunty Afoa, Lockie Hubner, Jenkins.
He's gone to the bench.
Yeah, this is non-players, so players that he hadn't played last week. And Ayongi.
Yeah, put Ayongi as one of your reserves, and then you've probably made some trades to put another reserve in there. I'd go Ayongi over Charlie Geimer. But yeah, Hubner has been dropped to the bench for the Rabbits as well. So we potentially might need to look at moving him out of our team, because he'll start tanking some cash.
Yeah. So this is probably the time where a lot of our cash cows, we can start moving on and moving to our bigger pieces and making our teams, especially around the Origin period. If you're able to nail on the right piece, so you're looking at Brinton Quarters. I want to see a good game out of him before I jump on him, but he's definitely a guy I want to jump over to. So those are the options I'm looking at. And the last thing, Tarns as well. Tarns didn't go at 143 as captain. Does that sound about right for how well he played?
No, he got 143 without captain, or 130 something without captain, right?
He should have got so much more. I thought she was more so asking for this weekend, but no, that's the way that's written out. Yeah, he should have doubled that.
Yeah, that should have been doubled.
That should have been doubled.
If you're looking at your team in the home screen, Tarns, it won't show the double.
No,
it'll only show what they got. In the game day, it'll show as doubled. But if you're looking at your team on the home screen, like I'm looking at Terrell May right now, I've got the captaincy on him for this week coming. It's only at 118. It's not doubled. So that's what Tarns has probably got wrong there.
That's probably it, Tarns. So yeah, on your home screen, it will not double. On your actual play screen and that, you probably get bigger points. It has already doubled. So if you captain Tom Dearden over the weekend, well done, Tarns. That's a big hit there too. And lastly, she put this one earlier in the chat as well before we jump off. She got Derby and Fermor. Fermor I like. Derby I wouldn't touch personally.
If you needed a cash move, like if you move like a Jenkins out for a Derby, I understand, because there's not a lot going in the cheapies region for the backs. One I would probably do is maybe Talakai, just because he's going to be a plug and play off the bench of the Sharks week in, week out, and he's a dual. But Derby could find some form and produce these scores and make some more cash, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, right there with you, bro. I think that'll do us for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for jumping on. Jose, thank you so much. Supercoach is awesome, and so is this podcast. Thanks, gentlemen. We'll end it on that great note. Guys, again, I will be down at Lord Alfred on Saturday if you want to come say hello. I'll also be in the Warriors fan section with Brody and all the boys if you want to come say hello as well there during the day of Magic Round. Anything more you want to say before we jump off, bro?
That's all I've got.
All right, up the wires, baby. Have a good weekend, guys.
Later, sis.